What is up, guys? Ashton here. We are back for another episode. Today we are doing something a little bit different. As you can tell by the title of the video, this is going to be a podcast video. In our English class, we were given something called an op-ed. It's basically a unit final. So we were given the choice between doing a 3-page essay or a 5-minute podcast, which I chose the podcast. So the topic for this is who is responsible for fake news, the spread of it, and who is to be held accountable and what action should be taken against them. So this is going to be an argumentative type podcast where I'm going to express my side of things, and then I'm going to give what other people's point of views are. But we're just going to mainly focus on my point of view because it's my point of view in my podcast, so why not do that? And yeah, that's basically going to be it. Some criteria for the video was that we had to make some sound effects, music, and you guys already know, if you guys have been around my channel for a really long time, you know I edit my videos and use music and random garbage sound effects, so there's no need to worry about that. So we are going to get into the podcast now. If you guys do not like politics or anything like that, I suggest you don't watch this. But for those who are and like topics like this, I suggest you stay around and watch and see my opinion on this. But anyways, we're going to get into the podcast now. We will start it right now. What's up, guys? Ashton here, and we are back for the first ever Ashton 2003 podcast. Today, we are going to be discussing the topic of fake news and how it spreads, who should be responsible for this, and what action should be taken against them. First up on the podcast, we are going to be discussing my position on this topic and how I think and who I think should be responsible for this. First up, I think it is big tech companies and news networks. You see, because you know, Facebook, Twitter, all those big old gigantic companies that I really do not care for, they should be really held responsible, because if you know, they have regulations and they have terms of service that they have to implement into their everyday usage for their consumers and all their networks that they buy and stuff like that. They regulate everything from messages to posts to events. They have the responsibility of regulating everything that goes on inside their networks. But if you see, fake news is everywhere in today's age. You know, from whether you're just looking at billboards or you get a text message from your friend that's just completely nonsense, made up malarkey, you know, that stuff. Everything. Fake news is everywhere, guys. There's no getting rid of it anymore. It has been around since people decided to start sending messages to each other via horseback scroll, you know, all those things back in ancient times. Fake news has been around since then. Because if you know, if you seen there's some movies out there, I'm not gonna name them, but I know there's movies out there that show diversions and stuff using scrolls. They send messages to the enemies and divert them to send their armies somewhere else, like that. It's been happening since messaging has been around, basically thousands and thousands of years. But nowadays, now that technology has evolved so high that it's just gotten out of control, and it's impossible now to stop the spread of it. But if you look at where it begins, the origins of it, from the networking like Twitter and Facebook, you can actually stop it. I know Donald Trump. Yes, I'm using Donald Trump because I am a heavy Trump supporter. Trump was bashed ever since he even started running for president. It's impossible for someone not to say that, because if you look at it. Look at look what Twitter and Facebook has done to Donald Trump. They completely banned him off the platform because of everything he says. If he says like one single thing, it just gets banned from Twitter, which is unbelievable because he was the president. The president should be allowed to say things on social media networks to get the word out to the public. Now, I can tell you if it was fake news, which most of his stuff was not fake news or not his opinion, it was fact-based, that I don't have a stinking problem with it. But it's just unbelievable because Facebook and Twitter just banned it even if he said like something like, I'm coming to Dayton, Ohio, or Jacksonville, Florida for a Trump rally. Twitter and Facebook banned that. That's just unbelievable. But then you have stuff, I was watching one of our videos, it was about, it was a retired CNN worker. He posted a comment on Twitter saying that there was a bomb in the Empire State Building and it was going to blow the whole thing up. He literally said that on Twitter, to everyone in the world who's following CNN and anyone who looks at it. Anyone. I don't remember the exact date of this, but if you read it and watched this video, he said, I typically regret every second I posted that. But if you look at CNN is so heavily biased toward the radical left that you never hear anything about positivity coming from the right or anything good about the Republican Party from there. If you watch Rush Limbaugh, for example, he passed away a few weeks ago. CNN did nothing, I repeat, nothing to honor him. Nothing. And then if you watch pretty much almost every other news network that is not heavily biased towards the radical left, they wanted to honor him because of his legacy in conservative talk show. I don't get it. Like, I seriously don't get why they are allowed to do that. They spread more fake news than I think anyone like just on their phone typing something like, ooh, there's a mass shooting going on somewhere. CNN, the worker said there's a bomb in the Empire State Building. And think if that was true, well, then that wouldn't be fake news. But it was not true. And what did he get for it? He didn't get bashed or anything. People were just disappointed in what he said. And he apologized for it. If I was someone, I would fire him on the spot. I would get him arrested because that's a threat against society. If you think about it, the Empire State Building is a monument. If you think about it, that thing's been around since I think around 1890. And how can you say there's a bomb there and it's gonna blow up because terrorists are in there? Like, that's basically saying you're a terrorist if you say that, because you could be, you could be connected with the terrorist group if they ever did that, which is outrageous. How could Twitter let CNN actually post that on their platform? It doesn't make any sense. And you see, if you remember back when Obama was president, ISIS actually had its own Twitter account. A terrorist group. The freaking radicalist Islamic terrorist group, ISIS, had their own Twitter account. And they still, I do not believe still today, they have not been banned from Twitter. But you can ban Donald Trump for saying things as he's president of the United States. That is completely outrageous. A terrorist group. That terrorist group is responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths, thousands of American deaths, terrorist attacks all over the world. And you can let them of all people make a Twitter account and promote their terrorist group. I don't see how that How does that make any sense? And you can just ban all other fake news. You try to, at least. Because let me just jump into why they're responsible. They should be. This is why. They are the ones who regulate it. They can regulate their platforms. They can take charge and block any fake news that is on their platform. But do they? No. They support all these groups that are biased towards minorities, towards terrorist groups, towards political parties, towards actual factions and stuff. But what do? They don't regulate it, which I don't see. I mean, the FBI can even do a better job. I know people in the FBI can take stuff down instantly, and they can take charge and action of it, which I don't get why the big tech companies can't do that themselves too, and not waste our security's resources and time. Why can't they just go in, take down the stuff, and everyone goes on with their lives? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I get that they want to show things on their people's opinions, but some things just can't be like that. Because if you're making threats, if you're making stuff like that, explicit content, all that needs to be taken down. I don't get why they're allowed to keep it up, but they are, and they do nothing about it. It's just unbelievable to me. So let me go to another topic. This one is about like how like communism is affecting this. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, comrades, it's time! Of course, in communist nations, fake news spreads like wildfire because government has full control of the news and media. As you could tell in Soviet Union, during the communist reign of Stalin, Khrushchev, Gorbachev, all of them, the media is controlled completely by government. You do not have free vote. You do not have free speech. You have nothing. You only can support communism and communism only. But what I suggest they did not do is do that, because you are making people believe, like brainwashing them. You are completely brainwashing them into thinking that this is the way, and the way only, not to have a Mandalorian quote in there, but this is the way. But it is not the way. People need to have free speech over people. The government should not have control of what you say. If you look today in the US, which is now becoming the United States Socialist Republic, which I do not appreciate, because under Biden, he is a complete socialist and communist. I do not appreciate him. The media right now is being completely controlled by the radical left and socialists. It is unbelievable. They are trying to silence us conservatives and silence anyone. It is trying to be completely controlled by government and the radical left party, which is completely outrageous. It even says in Constitution that we have free speech as Americans and we have the freedom to assemble. But can we do that? No. As you can tell by the Capitol storming, there were people who did enter the Capitol building, but most people who were there assembling inside Washington DC at the time were completely peaceful protesters. So I do not understand why they are limiting us to our constitutional rights But this is feeling much, much more like a communist society than a free democracy. We are not entirely free. We all have limitations as to what we are allowed to do. But it is feeling much, much more like communist society every day that this is going on. Especially under our new presidential reign of terror by Joseph Biden. You see what I did there? Joseph Stalin and Joseph Biden. Big brain. Anyways, enough comradism. We are going back to our regular scheduled podcast now. So yeah, it really is feeling like it's becoming a communist regime instead of a true free democracy, like how we're supposed to be. Let me take a historical break here. We're gonna go into our third topic. This could be like history. If you go back to the Civil War, we are the most divided our country has ever been since the Civil War. The Civil War, we were so divided that our country went to war against each other, one another. We had states that are dropping out of the Union. We had states leaving the United States and forming the Confederacy. That's how divided we are. Today, if you compare us today, the Civil War, as Abraham Lincoln said, the country's going to destroy itself from within. And I completely agree with that. Since we're so divided today, I believe in the future, the near future, we're going to be in a civil war. The second Civil War is coming, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. There is literally nothing we can do. The country is so divided that it's not even over slavery now, or equality. It's over political parties and people, minority groups wanting equal rights. I totally support everyone being equal. Like it says in the Constitution, all men and women are created equally and under God with their inalienable rights. But no group should be over one another. I don't consider myself over anyone. I consider myself an equal person. I'm a human like everyone else out there. Everyone is a human being. Don't treat them differently just because of the color of their skin, what their beliefs are, what gender they are, what sexuality they have. Nothing. Don't judge people because of that. What I think people should be doing is accepting them for who they are and not protesting or rioting and burning cities down just because they think that one minority group should be as important as another when everyone's just as equal. All lives matter. Not BLM, ALM, all lives matter. Not Black Lives Matter, not Asian lives matter, not Hispanic lives matter. All lives matter, period. All lives. Now, I don't support any of those groups. I do not support any of them because of what they're doing. They are completely nonsense. I do not support them. I don't trust them. I have friends who support them. I'm still friends with them. I don't care for the groups. I still accept my friends for who they are. But if they need to just look at what those groups are doing and just think deeply. What are these groups doing? Are they ruining our country? They're burning our cities down. They are killing police officers. They are hurting innocent lives and businesses. How can you support that? It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't really care for them, not the groups, not my friends. I care for my friends completely. I just don't care for those groups. If you're my friend out there watching this video right now, I support you fully. I may not support your opinions or views, but I support you as my friend. And we can still get along. I just don't agree with opinions of yours or beliefs. But we don't have to stop being friends. That's completely nonsense if you don't want to be my friend anymore. All right, enough of that. Next topic. All right. How I think action should be taken against this. People need to have consequences for this. I do believe people should be banned from Twitter and all these things. And I do believe that they need to be held accountable. Let me go to Fox News, for example. Fox News, if you remember in the election last year, they were calling states way too early. And I was like, what's going on here? Why have they called so many of these states for Biden this early in the night? It's not, most elections don't get called until the next couple days after. But they were calling states left and right. And when they only had I don't know what it was some super ridiculously low percentage in Arizona. They called it for Biden. And there was, if you look at the end results, it was 8,000 votes off. And I was like, Fox, what have you done? What have you done here? I have supported you guys ever since I understood the news, which is when I was 4 or 5. I supported Fox, and I completely supported their views, everything. But the one crucial error they made was calling Arizona. That completely made me lose Fox. I can't watch Fox anymore because of that. It's just how can you trust anyone this day and age when you're just so heavily biased towards one thing? I get Fox is heavily conservative, but I mean they support. They don't support it, but they actually accept other views, other than CNN, which doesn't. Which I don't understand why. You need to be supporting of all sides. You need to look at all sides of a story, and you need to see who is right. So yeah, but I don't trust Fox anymore. I only can listen to people like Glenn Beck. You got Mark Levin, Sean Hannity. You got Andrew Wilkow. You got all those small conservative talk shows, and they actually get to the point. They actually will explain everything that's going on, not biased, but not completely biased, I should say, but enough to where you're getting a point across, and then you're leaving room for a counter argument. Just like how I'm doing this podcast right now. I feel like I'm being a conservative talk show person right now. But I really can't watch any news besides, or listen to any news besides that. I look at my phone every morning. I see what news is on with the Apple News, and I'm like, what malarkey and bullcrap. Yes, I'm saying bullcrap because it is. It's just nonsense. How can you watch this? Because it's just, wow, it's so made up and stuff. If you see this, you're like, Kanye running for president. I know that's not fake, but it's such garbage, because how can you let him run for president when you know he has some mental issues? It triggers me. This podcast is basically a rant, which I don't really care. I like to rant. I can rant for hours. This podcast could go on for hours at a time if it wanted to. But I got to keep this close and compact. But anyways, now we're just going to go into our counter argument here. I want to talk about other people's positions on the fake news. So I know a lot of you out there say, well, Ashton, it's not big tech companies' fault. It's the consumer's fault. And I say, yeah, I see what you're thinking there. Because the consumers, they actually should be held responsible for reading this. They should read it and actually look through it and judge it as fake news. If they should report it, because I know on lots of things you're allowed to report it and report it for misleading conduct or stuff like that, or terroristic bullying, all that stuff. But how can it be the consumer's fault if big tech companies post this, if they allow it. Because if you're a little kid and you're reading like, ooh, this, you can hack and you get free V-Bucks on Fortnite, you know? You get free V-Bucks for the Battle Pass. How are kids supposed to not know what it is if these ads are popping up on these websites and stuff? How are they not supposed to if they're up there? And if the big tech companies look at them and they're scams, then how are little kids not supposed to know if it's up? Why can't they just take it down, block it, and actually like promote a website where you can actually do things to earn free stuff online? I know, for example, honey, not sponsored, unlike Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast loves honey. Not actual honey. I mean, I don't know if he likes honey, but honey is a website where you can get cash back for purchases at stores. Like, that's not a scam. But if you look at like websites, you gotta like go in depth. We did a assignment where we had to look at 3 different websites and tell whether they were fake or not. Which all 3 websites were apparently fake. One of them I actually was leading towards real. I think it was the tree octopus one. I don't know what about it. It seemed highly logical because I know lots of octopi can live on land. I know blue ring octopus, they can live up on land for a few days, stuff like that. And then it was like the northwest tree octopus can live on trees. I'm like, that sounds logical. But then once I reviewed the website again and watched the stupid, it was like some clay puppet octopus. I was like, wait a second here. After I submit that assignment, I'm like, wait, this is fake. And I was like, oh, why did I fall for this? See, even I fall for fake news. It's no one can avoid it. It's impossible to. So yeah, I stand that big companies and news networks, big tech like that, all those platforms, they need to be responsible for this, and people need to take actions against them. Even if you look at the U.S. Supreme Court, they did for Apple when they I think it was, I don't know when it was, but they were against the Supreme Court for lowering prices, doing price fixing and collusion for monopoly, because they're trying to become a monopoly, which technically they are because they own a majority of devices and phones and all that. But they were allowed to do price fixing on their phones and stuff, but they got caught, thankfully. This because people were complaining and other companies were complaining. They took it to the Supreme Court and asked for suing against Apple. And they had to pay off almost, I don't know how much, it was like $480 million. They had to pay that, but which is completely nothing for Apple, basically, because they're I don't know, they're 100 billion. I don't know how much they're worth, but they're worth a big fortune right now. But yeah, so that's a prime example of how they should be responsible, take responsibility, and take action against it. But I think that is going to wrap up this podcast. I hope you guys all enjoyed this. I know it was longer than I wanted it to be. Not longer than I wanted it to be. It was long enough for me to get my point across. And thank you for listening to my raspy voice. I have not been feeling good for the past couple days, as you can tell. But this was a real help. Let off some steam, let off some sweat. Yeah, it's pretty hot in here now. So thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you guys want to see more podcasts like this, please go down below, hit the like button. I will definitely do the podcasts like this again if you guys want to see this. I know you guys heard me talking a lot. My voice is now like, but it was really fun doing this, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching, and until the next podcast, this has been the Ashton 2003 podcast. Ashton signing off. Thank you very much. Any action should be taken against them, and like basically. What is up, guys? Ashton here. We are back for another episode. Today we are going to be doing a little bit different fudge. What is up, guys? Ashton here. We are back for another episode. Today we are doing a little bit. What is up, guys? Ashton here. We are back for another episode. Today we are going to be doing a little bit different. What is up, guys? Ashton here. We are back. Got called a ERWC op-ed. This is for my English 4 class. It's called ERWC. I don't know why, but it is. Okay. So get some content out for you guys. You know what I need. Hit the like button. It'll turn blue. What? Okay, I need to shut up. Cut. What is up, guys? Ashton here. We are back for another video. Today is going to be discussing everything I believe. Poop actually should be taken against those people. Crap! What action should be taken against them, and who shares those views. But then we're just gonna mainly talk about my opinion. I'm heavily towards it is. Today we are going to be doing a podcast video. Sorry. As you can tell, I have not been feeling very well for the past few days, and now we're gonna stop this video right now.